Are you wanting to become a box tech? Maybe you already are and have a great overview of locking containers, including safes. Perhaps all you do is move them. Maybe you don't have anything to do with them at all. I'm Tim Coleman, and today with the tall Tyler J. Thomas, the lovely Jeff Moss, and our special guest, Jeff Gaylor, this is the Three Tumblers. When I first started studying for my locksmith license, I only learned the terminology about safes for the exam. I never really thought I would be opening them in the field. That all changed one day while I was in training and my boss had a call to open a flame vault with a faulty keypad. He had a Microsoft Paint looking drawing of a bent wire and was told approximately where to drill. Fast forward 6 months and I had become intrigued with safes and how to open them. But where do you start? And how do you get into the world of servicing and opening safes? I've taken, in the nearly 2 years that I've been a locksmith full time now, I've taken a bunch of classes on safe servicing and opening and, talked with people who do it every day, including our guest today. And still is one of the most difficult things I think to get into because you really sort of have to work with a mentor almost and do it every day or at least weekly or a couple times a month. And you can get information out of classes as far as what to do or the theories behind it, and what tools to buy. But learning, basically getting into it, not to be a pun or anything, but getting into safes is kind of an adventure. And just for our listeners today, since we have two Jeffs on the show, our lovely Jeff Moss will be Heve, and our guest will be Jeff Rowe.
Did you just call me heavy?
His name is Heve.
Mhm.
Jeff Rowe is our guest today. Jeff Rowe, kind of tell us how you got into safe work.
Oh man, I started years ago, back in '94, when you guys were probably still in diapers. My boss basically got me into it. He didn't want to do it. It was getting older and didn't want to put money into it. So it was one of those, as a locksmith, you got to specialize in things. So it was either become an automotive tech, and I'm a big guy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get down underneath the dashboard. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So I decided, you know what, safes are cool. They're always inside. They're not out in the rain. They're not in the snow. They're not in the winter, the cold, the hot, or the heat. So let's just do it with safes. So that's what I specialized in, and been doing it so much that actually I took over his section of it, and basically he worked for me at the end of the shop I worked at. So it was pretty much, I was doing all the work and splitting 50 to him. And eventually they went under. It was a family ran place and they just sort of burned out in the end. So went out on my own, been doing it ever since.
So I have to ask, what does HKS stand for?
Nothing in particular, believe it or not. So somebody that was much wiser in the business than me told me, when you're going to make a business and incorporate and get insurance, get writers, get all this, make it nonchalant. So one day I could be, handguns, knives, and swords, humbuckers, knobs, and switches, since I'm the guitarist, or you could do hardware, keys, and safes. There you go. I got all three of them scheduled. So when I decide to retire, I'm going to go do guitars for a living.
That's
And,
awesome.
I could keep using it, have the same insurance, same everything. Just have to change my invoice from a lock and padlock to maybe a guitar or something. I don't know.
That's awesome. That's funny.
That's really cool. Really cool. So Jeffro, did your boss at the time back in '94, did he already have tools to open safes, or did he kind of guide you through into a learning period where you sort of developed? I mean, obviously, over the years, you've developed your own preferences, but how did it start?
He had like the most barbaric sets of just high-speed drill bits, nothing carbide. He had an old lever rig that looked like he made out of a machine shop when he was in high school, and he's still kicking. He's 89 years old, nice old guy. Talk to him and his family all the time, but yeah, it was just very basic equipment he had, and I just told him, when you sell yourself as a lock tech or a locksmith or a safe technician and you're selling that service, you really got to step up that game. You can't just go into these jobs and put a 1/2-inch hole in things and think that's okay, and you mess up, now you got a 1-inch hole. It looks like junk. You gotta take some pride in your workmanship. So that's when I started buying my own equipment. The most expensive thing probably you'll ever get is databases, just blueprints of everything out there, from antiques all the way up to the newest stuff, and machinery, just scopes, equipment all together.
That's really cool. Tyler, do you have any questions, anything to add?
I don't. You're gonna have to edit this out.
No, it's staying in. So I guess that kind of takes me to my second point is, when you do have like a basic working knowledge of things, kind of where I am right now with figuring all this out, is how do you practice? And when you're trying to teach yourself, whether you have access to those databases and that reference knowledge or not, like kind of, how did you practice? Like, did you do it as you were on the job, or did you kind of, collect stuff from safes that were getting thrown away?
No, so I'm probably like a locksmith that do automotive. The minute you call me, I don't want to discuss a black, a gray, a white, a yellow, a green, a blue safe. I want to know pictures. I want you to send me 5 pictures. I'll text everybody or email it to you, and I have very specific what I'm looking for. If you can't send them to me, get walking, then I'm not interested. Go to somebody else. So I want to know what I'm going in before I get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of the philosophy I've adopted, is send me pictures before I can tell you whether it's something I can help you with or not. Even if it's not a locked out safe, for instance, but they're wanting to know if we can install, say, go from a dial to electronic keypad. I want to see pictures of that. And, that's something I actually do quite often out of our shop, is convert from dial combination to electronic locks. Jeff, Hefe, Tyler, do you have anything?
Pictures are extremely important.
Yeah, I've said it many times before. I don't know how locksmithing existed prior to smartphones and emailing pictures, because like Mr. Jeff says, that you can't go off descriptions. I need hard facts. And if you send it to me, it tells me everything I need to know. But if not, couldn't even fathom trying to guess.
Do you know how many old black safes on rollers there are in the world? Everybody and their grandparents had one from back in the day. So when you call and tell me it's a black safe on a rollers, that doesn't tell me nothing. It just tells me that
it's kind of big, big, small.
Yeah,
It's just like the regular door.
Yeah, just a regular old door lock.
And it's heavy.
Yep.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a really heavy safe. Can you do it? I don't know. Send me pictures.
It's about yay big. I mean, it's no different than any of the other stuff. Like, oh, it's a regular door. It's got holes. It's so I I don't feel so bad, but it definitely drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as far as kind of kind of rounding it back to what I was saying, as far as practicing and learning on your own, I think is really, really valuable when you're working for a shop that does safe servicing and you're interested in getting into specializing in safes, because a lot of times customers will have you haul off their old safe if you're replacing it. And as a testament, in the back of our shop right now, there's an old cash vault, a B-rate cash depository safe that the lock was malfunctioning. That's why we replaced it. And when I actually went out to the job, pulled that cash vault out, I shut the door to it. And of course, the one time that it worked was the one time before I shut the door. And so it just won't work anymore. And that's sort of my drilling project. And I'm ashamed, but also proud at the same time to say that the door of that looks like Swiss cheese. I'm not bringing it home because, it's at the shop. I'm not going to throw it in the trunk of my car because it weighs like, 157 pounds. But is there at the shop for me to practice on whenever I do have the chance. And I think having stuff like that, to practice on, to learn how to, defeat the locking mechanisms of a safe is really important. I mean, Jeffro, would you agree? Did you ever do anything
I
like
would.
that?
No, I have not, but I know in the trade a couple times that people have like taken locks off and just left the door open to go run out to the truck. And then the manager said, you can't leave that door open, and pushes it shut, and there goes the relocker. And now your half-hour jobs turn into a 3-hour job. So
someone did that in the shop. The girl who used to work there was working on a safe, had the door open, and one of the guys on the road was like, "Oh, that looks interesting," and started messing with it, closed the door and locked it. I learned a few new words that day.
that and I always love, like, you get the people of the family that grandpa left this safe and we had a piece of tape on there and it said specifically, do not turn the dial. And one of these grandkids came over and just got into it and turned it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for me, bad for you.
Yeah.
Actually, part of what spurred this on, not just the flame vault with the malfunctioning keypad, but probably about 3, 4, 5 months later after that, we had one of our commercial customers who we've done a lot of work for. It's like a chain of restaurants, a small local chain of restaurants. And he was getting fed up with having to dial in the combination on the deposit safe at one of his restaurant locations. So we went out to convert that to an electronic keypad lock, and I had done it a couple times before. And so I'm down there in the floor. My boss is standing there watching me because I was still riding with him. And he gets a phone call and walks outside to take it. I had taken the old lock off, turn around, grab the impact. And when I grabbed the impact, it swung the door shut and fired the relocker with no lock in the door other than the relocker. Defeating that, we got lucky. It only added about 20 minutes to our on-site time, but it was still one of those holy shit moments. I just really screwed the pooch on this job. And really, really, that, I guess, is kind of the kick in the ass that I got to pursue safes and safe work. Tyler, anything?
I'm still nothing. I don't know fuck all about safes, man.
But you have a lot of you have a lot of those file cabinets and stuff.
I was thinking about that before we got on.
You have a big old safe at work for your key blanks.
We got a bunch of. We got a TL30 for the safes, for the keys. But yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. How many damn 4-drawer Fire Kings we've got? But I really have nothing until we get to my segment because that's all I know about safes.
TL30, nice choice.
Well, I might get to use both of my lines today. I've been waiting till my segment.
Yeah, I know.
Alrighty. Up next, our guest, Jeff Rowe, will tell us all about the history of safe mechanisms and their advancement over the years, and just some practical applications of them when we return.
In recent years, electric locking systems have become more prevalent in the safe community. These systems use digital keypads, biometric sensors, and other electric means to secure the safe. Electronic locking systems are highly secure because they are difficult to pick and manipulate. They also provide a high level of convenience because they are easily programmed to allow multiple users to access the safe. However, electric systems are not infallible and can be vulnerable to hacking or other types of cyber attacks. I'm just curious if you guys, A, own safes, B, do you think the other mechanical or digital is something that you would prefer in the long run?
I mean, I would say that the mechanical is tried and true. There's less that can go wrong. It'll work when you need it to. You don't have to worry about changing batteries or a circuit board going bad or corroding. You know, if it's inside a house, as long as it doesn't get somebody breaking or whatever, a safe could be in the same place for 40 years and be completely fine. Something with a mechanical dial that's just, for keeping your important documentation or family heirlooms.
The safe that I have is actually a pretty cool guard-all safe that I got from a customer. And if anybody watched my YouTube channel at all last year, they'll know that I several times tried to swap it out and install a couple different locks. One of them we were actually talking about before we started the show, and that was the SecuRAM Extreme Logic, which is a combination of dial mechanical safe lock and also electronic keypad lock. I really like the concept of it because if the electronics fry, then you still have the dial, the mechanical backup without involving a physical key. Because as someone who sells safes, one of my lines to customers is real safes don't have key backups. I was having difficulty with that. So right now it's just got a SecuRAM digital lock on there. But and that's kind of what I sell to customers who are wanting to convert from dial to electronic.
Gotcha.
I'm serious. I have nothing to add. I don't know shit about safes.
Well, what do you use on your safes every day? And would you rather have digital or mechanical? Do you track who comes and goes with your TL30? Or you don't care? Like there's only two people that come and go?
Well, that's inside the premises where there is an access control to get in and out. So if they got in there, I mean, I want all of our employees to have the combination. I would, if it could be installed, I'd like something like a SecuRAM where you've got that digital, you've got a audit log and all of that. But like I said, the access control kind of handles all the points to get there. So I do like mechanical. I'm a stickler for it. I just think that dialing it and all of that, it seems right. I'm not there with electromechanical, but I'm an odd bird. So
here's my theory on it. If it's for me, because I can service it myself, I like the digital. It works well. But if I was a consumer and didn't know how to do anything with the safe, I would never want an electronic because you will be paying me eventually to come out. Just like a VCR, there's not many of these old electronics on the road anymore. So 10 years, you better switch it out. You better get something different.
I mean, I do remember when Tyler, you and Jake were struggling for like a half hour to get into one of those safes to look for something, with the combinations or whatever.
And we did have to replace them all with S&Gs. Yeah.
And that was recently? I'm guessing. Well, that was like a year ago that we were.
Yeah, we replaced them right around that time you were you were there. Well, I just said to hell with it. Let's replace them all.
But are they still dials? I mean, they're still.
They are, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, this is all. He's got a lot of freaking cabinets. It's all.
And I'll say kind of what Tyler was saying and what you said, Jeffro, was as far as tracking and auditing who comes in and out, the lock that really comes to mind for me is electronic, obviously to track who comes in and out, but it's the Technosecuriza Techmaster lock, which has network capability, and pretty much you can do everything except remotely open the lock on a safe from the cloud. And I think that's really, really cool. So even if you had to generate a one-time code or you had a new manager or something, you could do that remotely. And it's a really, really cool lock. And I've had the opportunity to work on them and also have people from Technosecuriza actually walk me through and educate me on things over the phone on a job site, and also from Lockmasters. I've taken a class from somebody from Lockmasters about that lock. It's really cool. I like it.
Securam does have that offer too.
Yeah, and AMSEC does too with the ESL audit and the Safe Wizard type locks. I know they've got it as well.
Securam's nice. The reason I like Securam is they any model you get, it's just based on the same lock body of any type. They all use the same lock bodies, so cuts down on having to stock 50 different types. Then it also, you just do keypads. You do basic, advanced, Wi-Fi if you want to do that. But that's sort of nice for people that are just don't want to have to stock 50 different things.
And that's what we have, but we like for residential stuff, we stock the backlit keypads. Not a fan of the top lit keypads for Securam. No. They have a tendency to just up and take a shit on you whenever they feel like it.
Yep. So that brings me to my next thing. If you're buying a safe, do you guys feel it's in trying to invest in a quality safe, or do you just buy a safe just to get the best deal for what the money you have in your pocket?
Oh, I do have something to add here. I absolutely would. I would buy Fire King. We've got about 20 Fire King 4-drawer safes, if you want to call them that. Fire resistant cabinets, whatever you want to call it. We've got a TL30. I would like to have more, but that certification, that rating, that goes a long way with me. I don't want to get something at Lowe's or Home Depot, Costco, whatever. I want something that carries that TL 15, 30, 60 rating, whatever it may be, because I know to me and my insurance company that means a hell of a lot. And I can rest easy with that.
Yeah. Do you guys have dispensaries, like pot dispensaries in your area?
Yeah, we've serviced
any of you guys?
Yeah, we've serviced a few of them.
Do you guys always run into them? They have safes. They just buy gun safes from Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's or something. It kills me that's like their security is just a crappy old gun safe they buy.
I don't know how it is elsewhere, but I know in Colorado, where they were kind of the first ones to get it, the government, I don't know if it was federal or state, was like, hey, not happy with you keeping this amount of money on premises. Let us take it back to one of our facilities to hold the money for you, where I'm sure the containers were a lot more certified, reputable quality than what they had on premises.
Yeah, because technically I think pot is still statewide, you could do it, but federal, it's illegal. So it's a very weird situation. They rate them still around here occasionally, and it makes no sense to me.
I can say state level you can legalize it, but nationally it is still illegal.
Right.
It's interesting because in the last year or so, we've had probably about 6 or 7 potential customers come into the shop and specifically, or contact the shop and specifically request TL rated safes, like for residential use. We don't keep TL rated safes on our showroom, we can order them because we are a dealer through our distributor, and we keep a bunch of other nice safes on the floor. Like we've got a couple American Security BFX safes on the floor, which are nice. But yeah, it does amaze me. Speaking about the quality of safes, the first like real safe, I say in quotations, real safe that I had to drill. Jeffro was actually the first time you and I spoke on the phone together about a year ago, and it was some sort of here in this area we have Academy Sports and Costco, and I think the customer either got it from Academy Sports or Costco, and it was so cheap. Like I was expecting to have to drill through really hardened steel and stuff like that, and it was just sheet metal around sheetrock to get to the point that I needed to get to, and it was so fucking cheap. And I'm like, why did you spend $1,000 on this and then spend even more to get it delivered to your house?
Yeah, it seems like in the trade, not only safes, but also safe locks, every one of the major manufacturers is trying to race to the bottom to outdo each other. Who could provide the cheapest lock and still make a profit? And it's just becoming good for the technician, I guess, at the end of the day, but bad for the customers. A lot more failure rates than ever in the past.
Well, that's why we should all just buy Sentries, right?
Sure.
I mean, I would just say buy the best you can afford. That's how I feel about tools and stuff like that. Don't just buy something, because it's the cheapest and it's on sale, because it's probably not going to last very long.
My Gardall safe that I have, I got it from, like I said, from a customer. The keypad had actually failed on it, and it was an older AMSAC ESL keypad lock. Did not ship from the factory with a digital keypad, obviously, because ESL is AMSAC and not a Gardall product. But it had failed, and after a couple attempts, I managed to MacGyver it to get it to open. And the customers that were selling the house did not want to take the safe with them, and the buyer, they already had a buyer for the house, did not want that safe. And so they asked me, hey, we paid you to open it. How much would you charge to just take it out of here? And I said, not a dime, not a damn penny. I will come and pick this thing up after 5 p.m. today when I get off. And so, I paid my coworker, I think I gave her like $50 to help me, move it out of there, because we had to take it out of the basement level of the house and up an embankment and then into the bed of the pickup truck and all that good stuff. So, sometimes you can get a deal, but if you're looking to purchase, then don't settle for a brand new deal, quote unquote.
I had a guy bring in on a flatbed truck from a bank that closed at TL60. No combinations. Wanted it open. Said how much? I told him $2,000 to open it. He's like, I can't afford that. Well, that's fine. Get out of my parking lot then. And he left it there for me. I opened it up, flipped it next month for $5,000. So
it's beautiful.
That was beautiful. Yeah. I should have kept it now that I think about it, though. It was a $10,000 safe. Oh, well. When you're young, cash is king, right? Next up, we got Tyler going on giving us some tips how to keep your digits with moving these heavy things.
Dead weight has no consciousness. It simply follows the law of gravity and does not give a shit what is in its path towards the ground. That being said, moving safes can be pretty dangerous, and folks who do so should be very careful of their actions. Now, I've been very quiet since the start of this episode because I don't know shit about safes other than how to move them. I moved them for about 3 or 4 years. I've moved hundreds, probably close to 1,000 safes under the tutelage of two great men. So, I mean, that's really all I know how to do. Funny enough, the only ALOA PRP elective I've ever taken without studying was safe moving, and I passed it with like 99% the first time. So I'm pretty good at it. The main thing, I guess, is safety precautions. You want to leave the job with the same number of digits, the same number of appendages that you had. A lot of that goes into proper planning or site preparation. Commercial, it's pretty easy. You've got 3070 doors at least. You have to imagine you've got level ground, or the substrate's pretty level, ADA and all of that. But residential gets hairy. You know, I want a gun safe at the bottom or in the basement of my house. Okay, well, the steps may not accommodate that. So now you're going around the yard. In Georgia, things aren't flat. You're going down a hill. You're going up a hill. So Mr. Jeff, not Hefe, what can you tell us about moving safes? I know, pardon the pun, it's about being safe. What do you do to take care of things and make sure it's going to go according to plan?
You definitely got to go, and I actually don't move safes. I hired somebody else to do them. I'm an older guy. That's came and gone in my life. I'm not doing that anymore. Get a bunch of young guys, strong backs, and always get to the job first to see where your issues are going to be. And like you said, pre-planning's everything, just like opening them. If you can't get there and see what you're working with, don't take it on, because you will always lose. Make sure that you're always doing something safely and you have the proper equipment at the same time.
Jeff, when you and Tim came in town and we all went to Japanese for lunch that one day, we were talking about a safe that had fallen on somebody and killed them. And Jeff said, why do they call them a safe? They should call them a dangerous. So
True. Well, my coworkers years ago, when they worked for somebody else, they were doing a safe. It was like a walkout basement, and the safe ended up in the neighborhood lake, and they got it out. And the guy that he worked for was rather unscrupulous and basically tossed a bunch of desiccant packets in there and like, it'll dry out eventually.
See, we talk about locksmith fatalities, and number one's always lockouts or after hours jobs. But number two, it seems to be about once a year, maybe twice a year, a safe falling on someone during a move and it kills them. I mean, gun safes, maybe 200, 300, 500 pounds, but when you get TL 15, 30, 60s, thousands of pounds, I mean, it's no joke to be around something that big in a matter of just, a few square feet. It's nothing to play around with.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Well, I'll say, the first time that I helped move a gun safe, and I don't even remember the model of it. I think it was a BFX, an AMSEC BFX safe, which is gonna run you about, Mr. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, that's between 800 and 1,000 pounds, roughly. But we moved it out of the trailer, and my boss has been moving safes for years. He's getting to the point now, actually, after moving that safe, we didn't have any incidences, thankfully, but it scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you, to have that much dead weight and be top heavy. And here I am on the downhill side of it, trying to keep it level coming out of the trailer. It scared me shitless. I'm a little bit better now because I've gotten more experience with it. But, Tyler, like you were saying, I think in the last year, I've seen at least 2 news articles with warehouse workers that have been killed by safes that have fallen on them. So, I mean, pre-planning and experience and having precautions, and like Jeff Rose said, hire somebody out to move your bigger safes.
Yeah, too. And when you don't do it enough or when you're new to it, you don't realize how much or what an angle they can go at, especially when you're cribbing it or setting it or moving it or something like that. You don't realize that they can move at a considerable angle, and it looks scary, but it's still safe because, the center of gravity is still there. You're not beyond it. So it can throw you. I've been in those situations where I was on the other side of a safe with three sides of a wall, and it was like, are you sure this is safe? And they're like, yeah. I mean, center of gravity is still where it should be.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm good. Like, obviously, with the little microwave safes that we sell, I can pretty much carry those in and, upstairs, downstairs, whatever, and get them into place with no issue. But anything that's a little bit bigger than the FV 132, the 151 or 157, I believe. I know I'm butchering those numbers. I know them Monday through Friday, but not on the weekends. But those smaller safes are easy enough to move. But anything bigger, we always have. Generally, is Jason and I that move them.
Yeah, and I was looking at the outline of this show before we got started, and I remember one of my mentors as far as safe moving goes, just here's Jeff's favorite word, nuances. We were moving a safe on brand new asphalt. Well, asphalt's not solid. I mean, it's rocks and petroleum or whatever it is and all of that. When you get to 95, 100 degrees like it gets in Atlanta and Georgia sometimes, that shit flexes. So we had to move a TL60 one time, and the back of the loading dock was asphalt, moving into a facility that had concrete floors. Well, concrete's all fine and well, but when you get 90 to 100 degrees, that asphalt starts to flex and indent. Like I said, when you put 2,000-3,000 pounds over a few square feet on a pallet jack or a dolly or something like that, you get what I'm saying. That can beat into or wear into that asphalt. You might get the safe suck. If you're going around a corner, you're turning or something like that, it bears into it, it tips over. Now it's falling. God forbid somebody's in the way. Now you've just ruined a container because it's fallen over. Just certain little nuances like that you have to take into account. And the only way you can get that is through experience, knowledge, wisdom, stuff like that. Just stuff that, hey, I see brand new asphalt. I have to imagine that's going to support it. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Right. And, something else just to kind of add to that, most of the safe deliveries that we do are residential. Is probably 4 or 5 residential deliveries to every one commercial delivery that we do. But we had one customer that had a newly constructed house or newly renovated house. And of course, hardwood floors, when you're moving across hardwood floors, you have to take that into consideration. You want to lay down moving blankets and then put plywood across the top of that so that you don't damage the hardwood floors. But this one particular customer refused absolutely outright to let us wear shoes, even with shoe covers in the house. And we walked away from the job. We said, look, we can set it out in your driveway. And you can pay somebody else to move it inside, or we can take it back to the shop and you can have somebody pick it up and take it in there. But we are not doing this with socks or shoe covers or anything, because, shoe covers can slip on wood floors and tile. So you want to make sure that you have a good grip on things.
Well, that brings me into my next point, and also our last episode about customer etiquette, proper equipment. Yeah, I would have walked away as well, because my personal safety is more important than this job or any money that it can bring. So
Yeah.
with residential, you've got to be a lot more accommodating, because commercial's concrete, and then when you get into a tenant space, it's carpet or it's tile or it's polished concrete, whatever it may be. But as soon as you get into residential, it's hardwood floors, it's carpet. it's very precious, and they're going to notice it far more than anybody in the commercial space because they live there. So, like you said, furniture pads, plywood, some cases, especially going down yards, aluminum plates, plating, so that you're not damaging the grass. God forbid you're moving a gun safe down and you put some marks in the grass, which will grow back, but they're still going to raise hell about it. Jeffrey, you ever moved a safe or been involved with a safe move where a residence or an owner of a residence bitched about, any of your methods or outcomes?
No, we usually just move safes for commercial, and we were so old school. We literally did the Egyptian moves of big 1-inch bars and rolled them right across the floor. And that's why I was like, that's not how you do this job. If you're not going to put money into it, don't sell the service.
Yeah, we actually have, for the bigger, heavier safes, we have a stock of 1-inch PVC to roll them on, and then we also have a set of lift dollies that we used. We did move a gun safe recently for a customer. He was actually an acquaintance of my boss and was having the floor of his garage at his house refinished. And so we agreed to move it, store it for like 2 weeks, and then move it back. And that was the first time I ever used the hydraulic dollies, where you can come in from either side and they ratchet strap to each other, and then you have the hydraulic pump to raise it. And it actually worked really, really well. And I like that a hell of a lot better than I do the PVC pipes, because those you kind of have to kind of get your fingers close to the edge of the safe, if they don't go in the right spot, or you got to pull them out. And I really, really don't like that.
You also have to watch your shins.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the proper tools go a long way. I mean, it's not, you don't have to get a lot of money invested to moving safes. It's, you've got, for some examples, Staircat, stuff like that, Escalera and all that, rollers, timbers, straps, shims. But I mean, that's most of it. It's pretty simple, stupid, but like you said, you got to go the Egyptian methods. They built pyramids that way with very little tools, but they pulled it off, and it just takes a good bit of knowledge, proper planning, safety. I know the Egyptians didn't care about safety, but we do these days. So you just kind of have to mind your P's and Q's.
Yeah. And, I've found even with the, and I remember the model numbers now, the FV132 and FV137, FV151s. Those are the safes that the microwave safes that I am comfortable moving by myself. But in order to keep from fucking up a customer's floor when you move it in there, always keep cardboard in your truck. No matter what, if you're servicing safes, if you're not servicing safes, keep a good sized cardboard box that's been flattened out and still in one piece. Keep that in your truck. You can use it as a sliding mat. Also a moving blanket. Keep that in your truck as well. You can use them for so many things. But when it comes to safes, you can use that to slide a safe into place and then lean it back, pull the cardboard out from under, and then you're not sliding the safe all over the customer's floor, scratching it up.
Same with furniture pads, or what you're calling moving blankets. Yeah.
Yep.
I've done that a few times.
Tyler, did you ever have the airlift kits that they sell? Where it lifts on air, basically?
I've never used those, and I've never used the slick sticks, but I'd love to.
Yeah.
I
I haven't either. I just thought it was really neat.
Yeah.
I saw a video with that on a construction Instagram account earlier today, actually, and it was amazing. And I sent it to my boss, and I'm like, we got to get one of these.
Well, those
they work. They've been around for a long time, but I've never used them.
Knowing your boss, he'll probably get 2 of them, Tim.
Probably.
Yeah, that and the slick sticks. I've seen videos and heard of people using them, and it's amazing what I've seen. But again, I don't move safes anymore. But any other final points, gentlemen?
Keep your fingers and toes inside the ride at all times.
Yeah, don't put your finger anywhere you wouldn't put your pecker.
Don't ever try to stop a falling safe either.
Yeah, hey, 100%. All right, so what do you do with safes if you work for a shop that, well, doesn't really sell safes? The lovely Jeff Moss will let us know up next.
When you work in a shop that doesn't sell many safes, it really doesn't give you much to talk about on podcasts. But what customers consider to be a safe and what trade professionals consider to be a safe are usually completely different. So how do shops that don't sell safes service safes? So we do a lot of, commercial safe servicing, opening, combination changes, general maintenance, like I was saying before. And that's, in the field, primarily commercial, but in my sphere of the shop, when somebody calls in and says, I have a safe that needs to be opened, normally it's something that costs less than $100, either has a tubular cylinder, a wafer, sometimes it's just a strong box. Sometimes it's a little cash drawer box. So a lot of them aren't safes at all. They're just a box with a lock on them. So, in the shop, that's pretty easy. Some of the stuff is bigger and heavier and takes some more getting into, or you have to call Sentry to get a combination and then, charge the customer accordingly. And 99% of the time it'll work just fine. So we don't have a lot of issues that way. But yeah, most of the stuff, when people do actually bring it in and they say that it's a safe, it's like, you're like, seriously, this, but then you will have the commercial customers occasionally that'll bring in like the door from an AMSEC or a guard all or something to be changed. And that's nicer to work on because at least you can get parts. Tim, Tyler, I know you probably don't, since you don't have a shop. Jeff, do you guys have a shop or are you strictly mobile?
I'm a pirate. I'm all on my own.
So you don't, but I'm sure you get calls. Hey, I have a safe, and I'm sure sometimes it ends up being, once they send you a picture of it and you know what it is, it can end up being like, why bother?
Yeah, I give them the price. Everybody's got a choice, but yeah, like you said, sometimes you're going to be putting $200 in a $100 safe to open it. Feel free. I'll take your money.
I had somebody who didn't like the price, so they just went outside and dropped the strong box on the ground. Okay.
Sometimes that works. I mean, we get people all the time that buy these little locking boxes that are made out of metal on Amazon or wherever, and they lose the keys and they let the batteries go dead and their passport's in there and their flight leaves in 3 hours. Well, they bring them into the storefront where we are the only locksmith shop in 30 miles that has a storefront location. So, people bring us a lot of stuff. A lot of people bring us stuff. And a lot of times when they bring them, bring those things to us, we, it's like you said, is a tubular or a wafer. Sometimes you'll get something that is actually a dual-sided wafer lock where you have to pick both sides, and those are annoying, but they can be done.
Yeah.
So you do that, and what we do is, what I like to do personally is get that open and then charge them, $25-$30, whatever it is, to get it open. And they comment, oh, wow, you got that open in like 5 minutes. I'm like, well, I was bullshitting for 4 of those 5 minutes, but yeah. And when you're ready for a real safe, come back and see me and I'll sell you one of these that we have on the showroom. So that's where actually selling safes out of the showroom kind of comes in handy, is you can provide a service for somebody with a locking container and then upsell.
Yeah, that's true. And that sort of goes into the second part of, how can you help them get a safe even if you don't sell them? And that's a good question, because if you don't want to deal with it and you just refer it to somebody else or say go buy one online, you can't really make money that way. But we can still service it, we can maintain it and all that stuff. It's just they take up too much room, they're heavy, they're dangerous. My boss always says the only people that make money on selling safes are safe manufacturers. And, like Jeff was saying earlier about automotive, if you want to be fully invested and have all that stuff in stock and ready to go, that's a lot of money. I mean, we have all the tools, we have the service materials and parts and things like that. And, we're able to take care of most of the stuff pretty quickly. Unless it's a weird part that takes a day or so to come in, or a week maybe. But I mean, there is stuff that hasn't been made in a long time. There's older safes and things around. We don't work on vaults. There's companies that do all that. It helps that Diebold is from this area, about 45 minutes away. So, there's other ways to make money. You can service all their other stuff, and just because you can't sell them a safe, you can be their provider for everything else. Or you can, like I said, still service it and it's just fine.
Yeah, we have we had a customer that had a B-rate cash safe. It was commercial institutional. They had older electronic keypads on there, and they were literally falling apart. Like they broke the dial ring for one keypad because it was a dual door cash vault safe, and so one of them, the mount ring broke and the keypad was literally hanging there. So anyway, went and I replaced both locks on both doors, and probably 6 months later they called and said, hey, can you come out and change the combinations for us? And I was, sure, but they're like 40 miles away, so we charge accordingly. So for a combination change, it was very, very profitable. I spent basically an hour and a half driving. I didn't mind it, but still, that's a way to make money, is servicing by changing combinations. And if you can do electronic combination changes and also mechanical combination changes, and Jeff Rowe will probably agree with me on this, that's a very profitable area to be in, even if you don't sell safes or do openings.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the one car dealer I do here, I don't understand it. I changed it to digital, give them full instructions. These are educated people, yet they call me every 30 days to come change that combination with the electronic safe. Fine, I'll take your money, but once again, it's 6 buttons you got to push. That's it. But
yeah,
that's fine. I'll push them for you.
I mean, there's plenty of other stuff that you can offer them for sure. That also isn't dangerous and doesn't weigh 1,000 pounds.
That's true. I'll change their batteries too for $20.
Sure.
Yep. do a yearly safe lock maintenance package where you come and you change the batteries and lubricate any moving parts.
Yeah.
Check it out. Make sure the bolt work moves,
There
well,
you go.
I tell you, DH Pace Overhead Door, they do that. They offer yearly contracts. That's how they make a lot of their money, servicing accounts like that.
Right. Make sure the door moves. And I mean, think about it. At home, we call the HVAC guy twice a year. There's usually nothing wrong and you're paying a couple $100, but it's peace of mind, to make sure everything works like it's supposed to. All right. Well, containers, boxes, safes, all of these sound like great places to create and store spare parts. That's funny. Spare parts is our next block.
All right. Hopefully we have imparted some wisdom on our listeners today when it comes to the mysterious world of safes. But enough of all that. Let's tell y'all what we've really been up to lately with our spare parts. Tyler, you go first.
I've been missing a pocket knife for about 3 months now, and I thought, oh no, one of my kids had got it and stashed it somewhere, but I found it today in one of my drawers.
Nice. Jeff, HKS, go ahead with your spare part.
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm just thriving and surviving. Hope everybody's doing as well as I am in life.
Good to know. All right, well, hot dog. Oscar Mayer offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity this past April this year from the 15th to the 16th. Their iconic Wienermobile was turned into a wedding chapel, or as Oscar Mayer liked to call it, the Wienermobile of love. They gave fans a chance to exchange their nuptials in the Wienermobile of love, which was parked next to another Las Vegas icon, the Little White Chapel. In addition to the quaint photo op, the couples chosen for the unique opportunity were also treated to a live Wiener Whistle Quartet and Wiener Cake.
Sounds right up your alley.
Has anybody ever seen the Wienermobile in the live world?
I have.
Yes.
I actually have a Wiener Whistle.
Of course, they brought the Wienermobile to the fire department here last year. They took a bunch of pictures with it.
I've seen it on the highway as well. That's awesome.
They said something like, yeah, we really relished the opportunity to catch up with them or something.
Hefe. What's your spare part?
So my spare part is that for my friend's birthday yesterday, we did the Hot Ones Challenge, which is where it's a YouTube series where they ask celebrities questions as they're eating 10 different wings with progressively hotter sauces. So we all did it and ate all the sauces and somehow survived. Some of them were quite hot and painful, but we did it.
With my stomach conditions, I could never do that.
Painful going in. Have they come out?
Yes.
The ring of fire.
That's why Jeff was late today.
No, told you I was picking up ice cream. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For a good reason. I would have ice cream too. As always, if you have any hate mail or love letters for us, write them on the back of a $20 bill and email it to the3tumblerspod@gmail.com or tag us on Twitter at @3tumblerspod. Your executive producer is the tall Tyler J. Thomas. Our esteemed technical producer is Jeff Moss, the lovely Jeff Moss. I am the writer and editor, Tim Coleman, and our special guest host today was Jeff Gaylor. Our ratings analyst is Rita Menweep. The second shift meteorologist is Claudio Vernight. And the official driver of the Three Tumblers NASCAR team is Andy Zoff. Our chief legal counsel is Hugh Lewis Dewey of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe, otherwise known under the benches of Centennial Park as Huey Louie Dewey.
About to watch Talladega?
You got me there.
Malort is gross.
Thanks for listening. This has been a Three Tumblers production. Season 1, copyright 2023. All rights reserved. Find this episode and others wherever you get your podcasts. Hefe! Hefe!